how do you feel good when you just feel bad? I mean, how is it even possible? And the answer is yes. There's a certain technique and a strategy that we can use to have us feel better and eventually great, even if we're feeling bad. I first learned this at the first spiritual retreat I went to with my spiritual master about 17 years ago now. I was sitting in the audience and I just felt like shit. I felt terrible. I was kind of triggered and anxious and frustrated. I was annoyed by all these people around me that seemed really happy. And I was just not in a good way. And her name is Her Holiness Saima. And she walked by me, and of all the hundreds of people in the crowd, she looked at me and she was like, "Look at you." And she was like, "You're so bright." And I was like, I am. And I was just like figuratively scratching my head. And when I looked, it's true. I didn't feel good, but I felt like something was awakening inside of me. So after that, things started to really shift. I started to kind of shake off the feelings I had. I started to feel connected to myself, more happy, more joyful, regardless of the circumstances. And over the last 20 years, I've really practiced, despite circumstances in the outside world, how do I feel happy, fulfilled, peaceful, service-oriented, like giving to people, even though I felt like I was giving everything, which is actually a whole mindset piece that I'll talk about in a few minutes. So I learned this many years ago. It's something I've been practicing daily and throughout the day. And I want to share this with you because I think you can feel good even when you feel terrible. It's possible. So let me go through how to do this. And it's simple, but not always easy. And there's some nuance to it that I want to tease out with you. Firstly, the first thing that is the most important thing to do when you feel bad or you feel like shit, when you feel terrible, is to acknowledge and accept and welcome the tough feelings. So maybe you're feeling frustrated or anxious or irritable or angry or depressed or hopeless, whatever it is. First thing is distinguish what's happening. It might just be a body sensation. It might just be like, I don't know, I'm just irritated, whatever it is. Take a minute and distinguish what the experience is, what the feeling is, and then welcome it. Like, it's okay to feel this way. You could say that to yourself. It's okay that I'm irritated. It's okay that I'm frustrated. Regardless of the story of why it's happening or who did it to you or what circumstance got created, tuck that all aside for a minute and just acknowledge what's going on inside of you. And take a few minutes and just welcome it into your heart. It's not going to get bigger if we accept it, right? Now, if we accept it as a part of our life and that shifts our mindset around it and like, oh, I'm always going to be that way, then we'll actually be unintentionally welcoming it in our life. But that's not what we're doing right here. We're acknowledging and accepting and welcoming that experience into our heart. And just spend a few minutes. Get soft, get tender with yourself, accept yourself, right? So that's the first and the foundation of anything is just accept yourself and be with yourself and how you're feeling. That's number one. Number two, take some action. From that place of softness, of acceptance, of tenderness, however the feeling is shifting, or maybe it hasn't shifted yet, but with the intent of accepting it, take some action. That might be sharing with somebody that you feel connected with. It might be doing good things for you. It might actually be doing good things for somebody else, right? Serotonin is released in our brain when we do something kind for other people. Isn't that fascinating? For most of us anyway. I think that's true. It may not be true for everyone on the planet, but it's definitely true. So do this. Take some action. That's the second step. Do all that you can to be in action. Now, an action might actually be an inaction. If you're doing things all the time, then acting might be like, I'm not going to do anything this afternoon. I'm taking a mental health day from work or school, right? On a Saturday when I'm typically doing X, I'm going to do Y. It might be stepping away from taking action, which is still an action, so to speak. So do something. And the doing might be a not doing, right? So first we acknowledge, accept, and welcome those feelings into us. Take a deep breath. Yeah, be with it. Then take some action. And then the third piece is having this whole knowledge of yourself create a certain mindset that accepts feeling bad temporarily and is focused on seeing and experiencing and creating a life that is fulfilling. So here's one way to do this. Some of these bad feelings, they're not bad. Low frequency is a better way to describe these feelings because they're not bad. It's just our experience of them is bad, so to speak, right? But just because they have a low frequency, like a high frequency is joy, happiness, stoke, low frequency is anger, jealousy, resentment. There's not good and bad. They all have some kind of information. So one thing that you can do is look at, like, what are these feelings teaching me? Like, what is the resentment teaching me? What is the jealousy teaching me? And is that a way I want to live? Just the other day, I was talking with someone and they were so resentful of their parents for these things that had happened. And it was justified, right? The parents were making some choices that really negatively impacted this young man that I was talking to. So on the one hand, I completely get it. And one of these conversations, some of these conversations that I have sometimes are really powerful. It's something that I feel like I can pass on because everything that I share with you or that I practice or teach is things that I've practiced, right? And that have had an impact on me, a positive impact on me. Years ago, I was talking with a mentor of mine about a situation about someone that I was super frustrated by. And I was very resentful of this person. They would do these same calloused, insensitive things. And it's someone that I was spending a lot of time with at that time, that I was working with. And I couldn't avoid spending time with them because it was a responsibility that I had taken on around this work that I was doing. And I wasn't ready to step away from that work. So I was like, how can I transform this situation, but I can't control them? And this mentor, his name's Doug. He's a dear friend of mine, older brother, I would call him. And he said, what if they just were never going to change? And I was like, but that's ridiculous. They should change. They're committed to the same way of evolution that I am. And why aren't they? And he's like, I get it, but they're not going to. They're not going to change. They've been that way for years. They're going to continue being that way for years. And I was like, but that's not, how could that be true? He's like, it's not the point. Live as if they are never going to change. And I was like, but that's so hopeless. He said, well, you could say that, or you could say, what are you going to do about it? They're not going to change. This thing out there is not going to change. What are you going to do? And I was like, damn, okay. So you're saying that I can either continue to live the way that I've lived in relationship to them, which is being upset, resentful, disappointed, all those things, or I shift something inside of me that has me relate to them differently. And he was like, you could say that. So that was a huge breakthrough for me many years ago. And this is what I'm saying in the step 3, is that we can create a certain mindset that has us accept how we're feeling. In this recent example I'm giving you, pretty resentful, I think is the encapsulating feeling, that I'm accepting that I feel that way, but what can I do about it? If that person out there or that circumstance is never going to change, how do I shift myself? Okay, I'm resentful right now. I accept that. I feel resentful. Okay, I don't enjoy this. Now what? Do I have to feel resentful? No. We do not have to feel the way that we feel. This is the nuance. It's critically important to accept that we feel in the moment, but not indulge in the story or the narrative or the mindset that has us continuing to feel that way. So in my case, I was like, all right, he's going to do him, this guy that I was working with. He's going to be the way that he is. Fine. What am I going to choose to do? Okay, I'm accepting him how he is. What if there was a possibility of me living in a way that I wasn't disrupted by the way that he was, regardless of how callous and insensitive and kind of D-baggy he was acting? What if I developed myself in a way to not be negatively impacted by it and not to get resentful about his resentment or his disruption? What if I didn't get disrupted by his disruption? This was profound. And it's something I've been practicing every day, and I'm not perfect at it, but I'm very good at it, and I'm not perfect. And it's something that you can take on. And this is what I mean about creating a mindset. So what if I created my emotional experience and my mindset in a way that was not negatively impacted by anyone or anything around me. Wow. And I've been telling you it's possible because I've made tremendous progress from like not doing it at all and not believing that it could be true to not only believing that it could be true, knowing it could be true, and doing it. And what's fascinating about this all comes back to how to feel good when you feel bad, is that if you can shape your own mindset and your own narrative about the world such that everything out there is an opportunity and a reflection to create a mindset that we have and to reflect a mindset that we have. So now listen, I can't see all of this with my eye or my inner vision, but I can perceive that everything that happens to me is a reflection of some aspect of myself. So if someone gets pissed off at me because I'm driving too fast, which I do, and it happens, it hasn't been happening much recently. That's interesting. Usually it does. That's a reflection for me, and this may be for you if you want to take this on as a practice, a reflection of an inner frustration or anger that I walk around with, which I do have and carry. It's not what I want or what I really appreciate about myself, but it's a way that I currently exist as a 46-year-old young man here on June 6th, 2024, right? So all this to say, let's recap really quick. How to feel good when you feel bad. Acknowledge, accept, welcome. Act from a place of acceptance. Take an action or a non-action, which is an action, and then create a mindset that accepts feeling bad, but has your life be tremendously good. All my best to you.